The Sweetdude effect was a term that once described the phenomenon of famous creators getting their quote-unquote bad, or not rate-worthy, levels rated more easily than unknown creators. Melody by Sweetdude, released in early 2.0, is sort of a poster child for this effect. It's 2022 now, and this sentiment still exists today over 6 years later. Levels that break the mold in any way, shape, or form, and manage to get rated are filled with comments about how they're objectively bad, and therefore don't deserve in-game recognition. This applies to Melody too. A lot of the in-game comments talk about how the rate isn't deserved. Honestly though, I don't think these comments came to the level naturally. The quote-unquote Sweetdude effect was actually coined in a video by Etzer called How to Get Featured in Geometry Dash Tutorial in all caps. Melody and Sweetdude are mentioned a couple minutes in when Etzer talks about how anything can get rated if you're famous. This relates to the negative comments on the level because before Etzer's video, the level was pretty well received outside of a couple gripes with the gameplay and flashiness. They then take a drastic shift after a string of comments say, "Have you sent it to RomTop yet?" A reference to another point in Etzer's video. After those comments, many regurgitate Etzer's words, calling Sweetdude the worst popular creator and the level garbage. To me, this is one of many examples of external forces shifting the way the community views certain levels. While Etzer himself is one of those, he talks about another for his entire video, the rating system. It's the only reason he even cares about Sweetdude levels in the first place. They're rated completely arbitrarily, and that's somehow unfair, and he spreads his hate to Sweetdude, despite their system being the root problem. If Melody wasn't rated, he wouldn't have put it on the video, which is evident from the text shown on screen with the level that reads, "An actual rated Sweetdude level." Etzer, and thus the level's commenters, main issue with the level is that it's rated. This is dangerous because it leads to more convention, less experimentation, and eventually, homogeny. Even if that sounds grim, I think there's a lot of hope, because people are beginning to realize that Melody and levels like it aren't inherently bad. If you've been on Geometry Dash Twitter anytime recently, you've probably noticed a ton of tweets calling levels raw, with hundreds of likes, and maybe even a bunch of tweets calling raw levels garbage as a reactionary response. Raw levels are often characterized by the way they don't meet today's conventional standards, but are yet still strangely good. The newfound appreciation of these levels is part of a direction we're moving as a community away from convention and the current standards, as we reevaluate old works that we would have shunned in another time. I think this tweet by Arb sums up a lot of my thoughts, and I quote, "This raw level trend is awesome because you're all finally speaking my language. These are the levels I like. GD Twitter is based right now. Let's keep it that way. I want more levels like these." Truth be told, I've always really liked Melody from when I first saw it, but as I got more into the community and creators I respected trashed on it, I did too. But my enjoyment of it was still lingering there in the background. Melody, in my opinion, is the rawest level of all time, and it's not because of the history and the ways it's unpolished. It's because of how good it is. It's one of the most joyful levels ever made. Every time I watch the rainbows cover the screen as the guitar screams in the background, the only emotion I feel is pure, unfiltered happiness. For me, a lot of this comes from the contrast and the use of blending in the level. The saws and ground spikes feel brighter to me than on any level with a screen covered entirely in light. Despite the messiness of the level, you can still barely make out all of the background details, and it also uses curved rainbows and rainbow blocks in some of the most clever and interesting ways I've ever seen. It's extremely fitting that the level set to the song about the joy of making art, because that's one of the aspects of the level that sticks out the most to me. It just seems like it was extremely fun to create. Its unconventionality clearly communicates the lack of worry Sweetdude had about the level being potentially bad or ugly, and I don't think Melody would have been as good as it is if Sweetdude had been worrying. Perfectionism is a disease that plagues the vast majority of the GD community, and it's a shame because I feel like we're missing a lot of good levels because of it. I'm forever grateful that Melody exists. If you're going to play the level, don't expect it to be sight-readable or to beat it quickly. I beat it for the first time yesterday and it took me 648 attempts. Sure, it's a lot for a 9-star, but if you love Melody as much as I do, I'm sure it'll be worth it. I often find that I get a lot more enjoyment out of beating levels I like, and I'm able to pour attempts into them more easily. I recommend playing this level if you like it. I'm going to link Sweetdude's showcase in the description. The bitrate is extremely low, but I think it's really fitting for such a raw level. But I don't really blame you if you go find a higher quality recording. And thanks for listening to me review this level. I did it. I'm so excited. GG 9 stars. How many attempts did that take me?